Memory feels like a storage room in your head, but that is the first trick. Why can you remember a song lyric from 10 years ago, but forget why you walked into the kitchen? How can a smell pull you back into childhood faster than a photo? Why do some memories feel crystal clear, even when the details are wrong? Memory is not one thing. It is a whole set of systems, each doing a different job. Some hold information for a blink, some help you solve problems, some turn practice into skill, some build your identity, and some quietly rewrite the past while making it feel completely real. The weird part is that memory is not designed to record life perfectly. It is designed to help you use the past to survive the present. Start with the fastest one. Sensory memory. Sensory memory is the tiny afterimage your brain keeps right after something happens. You see a sparkler move through the dark, and for a moment, your brain connects the dots into a glowing line. You hear someone speak, and the last sound hangs around just long enough for your brain to understand the sentence. This memory is not deep or emotional. It is more like a mental echo. Your eyes, ears, and other senses dump raw information into the brain, and most of it disappears almost immediately. The catch is that you never notice how much you lose. Sensory memory gives you the feeling of a smooth world, even though your brain is constantly grabbing fragments and letting them vanish. Then it gets more fragile. Short-term memory is the small mental pocket where information sits for a short time. A phone number before you type it, a name right after someone introduces themselves, a direction like turn left, then go upstairs. It feels simple, but it is incredibly easy to break. One distraction, one new message, one person talking over you, and the whole thing collapses. Short-term memory is not meant to hold your life together. It is meant to hold a little information just long enough to be used, repeated, or passed somewhere deeper. That is why forgetting something instantly does not always mean your memory failed. Sometimes the information never made it past the front desk. Now the brain starts juggling. Working memory is short-term memory with a job. It is not just holding information, it is using it. When you do mental math, follow a recipe, compare two options, or keep the first half of a sentence in mind while reading the second half, that is working memory. It is your brain's temporary workspace. The problem is that the workspace is small. Stack too much on it, and things start falling off. That is why multitasking feels productive, while secretly making you worse at each task. Working memory has to keep switching, updating, and cleaning up. It is the mental version of cooking dinner on a tiny counter while someone keeps handing you more ingredients. That's where things stick. Long-term memory is the big system most people mean when they say memory. It stores facts, experiences, skills, meanings, and patterns over time. But it is not a perfect hard drive. Information usually has to be encoded, stabilized, and later retrieved. The hippocampus helps with forming and consolidating many long-term memories, while stored information involves wider brain networks. That means remembering is not just opening a file, it is rebuilding a pattern. Some memories get stronger because you use them. Others fade because they stop mattering. Long-term memory feels permanent, but it is more like a city than a warehouse. Roads get reinforced, shortcuts appear, and abandoned places slowly disappear. Now it gets conscious. Explicit memory, also called declarative memory, is memory you can consciously pull up and talk about. If someone asks where you went on vacation, what the capital of France is, or what happened at dinner last night, explicit memory is doing the work. It is the memory you can declare out loud. This is the part people usually trust the most, because it feels intentional. You search your mind, find the answer, and say it. But conscious recall is not automatically accurate. The more you retell something, the more your brain may smooth it into a cleaner story. Explicit memory gives you access to facts and events, but it also gives you confidence, and confidence can be a very convincing liar. Here's the personal one. Episodic memory is memory for events you personally lived through. Your first day at a new school, the awkward birthday dinner, the moment you opened a message and knew something changed. Episodic memory has a where, a when, and a feeling of being there. It lets you mentally time travel back into your own life. That is powerful, but also unstable. Every time you revisit an event, you are not stepping into the exact original moment. You are reconstructing it from pieces. The room, the emotion, the people, the meaning you gave it later. Episodic memory makes your past feel alive, but alive things change. Now, strip the scene away. Semantic memory is memory for facts, meanings, and general knowledge. You know what a chair is. You know that dogs are animals. You know the meaning of words, the rules of a game, or the idea that winter is colder than summer in many places. You do not usually remember the exact moment you learned these things. They are just there. Semantic memory is what turns experience into knowledge. It removes the original episode and keeps the useful concept. That is why you can forget the teacher, the classroom, and the worksheet, but still know the answer. Semantic memory is the brain saying, "We do not need the whole story anymore, just keep the lesson." And some memory hides. Implicit memory is memory that influences you, without you consciously pulling it up. You do not always remember learning a pattern, but your behavior still follows it. A certain smell makes you tense. A familiar layout helps you move through a room without thinking. A repeated experience changes what feels normal. Implicit memory is quiet because it does not announce itself as memory. It shows up as instinct, comfort, fear, rhythm, preference, or habit. The catch is that because it feels automatic, people mistake it for personality. You think, "That is just how I am." Sometimes it is, but sometimes your past is steering the wheel from the back seat. Then practice takes over. Procedural memory is the memory of how to do things. Riding a bike, typing on a keyboard, brushing your teeth, playing a chord. At first, these actions take effort. You think through every step and mess up constantly. But after enough repetition, the skill moves into a more automatic system. Your body seems to know before your conscious mind explains it. That is why you can struggle to describe how you tie your shoes, even though you can do it in seconds. Procedural memory is efficient because it saves mental energy. But it also explains why bad habits are so stubborn. Once a pattern becomes automatic, changing it means retraining the system, not just deciding harder. Now, memory points forward. Prospective memory is remembering to do something later. Send the email, take out the trash, call someone back, bring the form tomorrow. It sounds like future memory, which feels impossible, but it is really a promise your present self leaves for your future self. The problem is that prospective memory depends on cues. You need the right moment to trigger the intention. Without a cue, the task can disappear completely, then return at the worst possible time, usually when you are already in bed. Prospective memory is why reminders exist. Not because people are careless, but because the brain is not a perfect calendar. It remembers the plan best when the world gives it a hook. Now it becomes identity. Autobiographical memory is the story of you. It includes personal episodes, facts about your life, and the meanings you attach to them, your hometown, your embarrassing phases, the friend who changed you, the mistake you still think about. This kind of memory does not just tell you what happened. It helps tell you who you are. That makes it powerful and dangerous. Because the way you remember your life shapes what you expect from the future. If your brain turns one failure into "I always fail," that memory becomes more than a past event. It becomes a lens. Autobiographical memory is not a diary. It is the narrator of your identity. And narrators have opinions. Here's the dramatic one. Flashbulb memory is the vivid memory of where you were and what you were doing when you learned about a major public event. It feels like someone took a picture inside your mind. The emotion is strong. The scene feels sharp. You may remember the room, the person who told you, or the exact feeling in your body. But vivid does not always mean accurate. Flashbulb memories can feel more reliable than ordinary memories because they are tied to surprise, emotion, and repeated retelling. The catch is brutal. Your confidence may stay bright even as details shift. A flashbulb memory feels like evidence, but sometimes it is only a very emotional reconstruction. Now the brain gets sneaky. False memory is when you remember something inaccurately, or remember something as real even though the details are distorted. This does not mean you are lying. A lie is when you know the truth and hide it. A false memory can feel honest from the inside. Your brain fills gaps, blends sources, grabs the gist, and builds a version that makes sense. Maybe you remember who said something wrong. Maybe you remember seeing a detail that was only suggested later. Maybe you retell a story so many times that the polished version replaces the messy original. This is why memory can be dangerous in arguments. Two people can be sincere and still remember different worlds. And that is the real problem. Memory is not one clean machine. It is a collection of shortcuts. Sensory memory keeps the world smooth. Short-term memory holds the moment. Working memory manipulates it. Long-term memory stores patterns. Explicit memory explains. Episodic memory relives. Semantic memory understands. Implicit memory guides. Procedural memory automates. Prospective memory reminds. Autobiographical memory builds the self. Flashbulb memory turns emotion into vividness. False memory proves that vividness is not truth. So the next time you say, "I remember it clearly," be careful. Your brain may not be showing you a recording. It may be showing you the most useful version of the past it could build. The useful thing about memory is also the uncomfortable thing about memory. It is flexible. That flexibility lets you learn, adapt, build skills, understand patterns, and carry your life forward. But it also means your brain is not always giving you raw footage. Sometimes it gives you a summary, sometimes it gives you a feeling, sometimes it gives you a story that has been edited by stress, repetition, emotion, or time. That does not make memory useless. It makes it human. When you forget why you walked into a room, blank on someone's name, or remember an argument differently from another person, it does not automatically mean something is wrong with you. It means your brain is doing what brains do, filtering, rebuilding, and trying to make sense of too much information. A good everyday rule is simple. Trust memory enough to learn from it, but not so much that you treat every detail like a camera recording. Write down important things. Use reminders. Be humble in arguments. And when a memory carries a lot of emotion, leave a little room for the possibility that the feeling is real, even if every detail is not perfect. If this helped, subscribe, and comment what big topic you want explained next.